Oh yeah, the boys start right here from the Frieren crossover. Yeah, so what I don't do is go over what crests should have or what equips they should have. I do go over the movesets, the passive / abilities, Dream Awakenings if they have any, and test them out on a quest. So without further ado, let's go with the skill first, which is called Advancing Swing. It does 3,500% fire damage physical, so he is a physical unit. Negates all allies damage taken for a total of 1,000 for 10 seconds. Increase arts gauge by 100 first time only. So this is pretty unique right here and interesting because at least at the top of my head right now, I can't name a single unit that actually does this on their skill. Give damage negation right here. And so this one increased arts gauge by 100 first time only. That's like, wow. Usually that would only be on passive / abilities, but the fact that they put this on the skill, well, that kind of helps them start up, you know, a little bit faster. So this right here, you do got to keep in mind if you use somebody like Shiro on your team, this will override Shiro's damage negation barrier. So do keep that in mind, but it will be able to stack with top tanks. So now let's go with the arts, which is called Earnest Endeavor. It does 25,000% fire damage physical. Increase all allies all stats by 30% for 25 seconds. So this right here is actually pretty nice and dandy. This makes him a semi-healer, pseudo-healer type deal right here. And this is going to be very good with one of his passive / abilities once I go over that. But now let's go with his true arts right here, which is called Resolved Blow. It does 62,000% fire damage physical. Autofills arts gauge by 5 for 30 second stacks. This is only to himself. Increase single super arts damage and break power by 200% after this true arts is used max 5 times. Stacks reset by super arts. So what this basically means right here is that he could generate his own arts right here. So that's pretty good. So that way, you know, he could go and stack this as much as possible. So you could only use true arts about 5 times until this reaches like its maximum amount, the break power and super arts damage. So this right here basically makes him like a damage dealer / breaker in a way right here. But it says resets by super arts. So as long as, like, let's say you have this max, right? But then you use arts right here. Well, that's fine. It won't get reset unless you use super arts right here, which is called Lightning Strike. It does 200,000% fire damage physical. Reduce enemies' physical resistance by 150% for 20 seconds. So that right there, damn, that basically helps them do even more of a damage, make him more of a damage dealer. However, you do have to build him up. So like if you try to use him for nuking, for instance, that won't really work at all because you're gonna have to at the very least have this reach 5 times if you want him to maximize his damage right here. So this won't be able to stack with Shiro's true arts or any other ones. But if you use like Shadow with him, for example, well, that would work perfectly fine since Shadow, his is stackable. So now let's go with this passive / abilities right here, which the first one, additional attack level 5, damage 50% up during break. So that right there is pretty nice, pretty good. And since it increases his own break power, right? Every single time you increase that, well, it's kind of easy to get this right here. And then now, damage boost level 3, damage up by 3% per 100 attack right here. So that's why with his arts, it's really good to activate that. So once you maximize that, you go ahead and activate arts, and then you do super arts. That's how I think Stark works. So that way you could maximize his damage right here, damage boost. That would work pretty fine and dandy right here. Now with his passive, his unique passive, it does all allies damage taken 50% down and autofills arts gauge by 5 for 20 seconds when near death, one time only once. So this right here, if he's like in near death once the health bar is red, then he generates his own arts by 5 and he gives everybody 50% DR. That right there, I think it's pretty good. Like, yeah, it really is. 50% DR, whoa, that's nice. So now let's go with the team. Which, yeah, it's pretty interesting, right? Since Wargoffin gonna be the only Archgen unit on the team. That is because if you look at the challenge quest right here, it is Chapter 27 Ultimate Paladin Roy's Challenge Quest. So the reason why I have a top tank and a barrier tank like Shiro right here is so that way they could, you know, tank Holy Knight Roy's attacks. Not only that, that way he is the only one that could get frozen. So that is basically the team right here. And now let's move on to the quest. All right, here we are. So I'm going to spam click True Raz because Roy freezes pretty fast. As you see right there, he froze basically everybody except War God Finn. Oh yeah, even though I activate True Raz, he freezes faster than True Raz is activated, which I think honestly they should, you know, kind of change that. But you know what, whatever. He got unfrozen, so hopefully Shiro could get unfrozen as well, and same thing with Gamma Gory. Oh yeah, so that way Unlimited Blade works. Bada boy. There we go. Okay, cool. Now we have everything started and going. Yeah, let me go ahead and do two arts one more time with War God Finn. Then I'm gonna go ahead and do arts. Yeah. Okay, so Gamma Gory's frozen, but you know that's fine because I've already activated his true arts. So yeah, let me go ahead and activate arts. So now at this point with Stark, I'm not gonna activate his skill anymore. Because actually, you know what? I'm gonna show it right now. So y'all saw that I activated Shiro's arts, right? I'm gonna go ahead and activate his skill, and yeah, you see it got removed. So yeah, it cannot be stacked with each other at all whatsoever. Yeah, it kind of sucks, but you know, it is what it is. So let me go ahead and activate Raz and then Karato, so that way I can activate his true arts again right here. And then you know what, let me go ahead and activate his true arts for Shiro, even though yeah, it doesn't stack with Stark, right? But I'm not gonna go ahead and do super arts right here in this small health cap. No, I'm not. I'm gonna go ahead and do true arts, so that way you know his archgen is stacking. Oh yeah. Alright, let me activate that. And I'm gonna wait for Gamagori a little bit, right? Until he's on true arts. Alright, there we go. Bada boy. Let's go. Alright, cool. Alright, true arts with Stark again. Because I'm gonna go ahead and activate super arts right here on this threshold. Yeah. Alright, once again. Go ahead and do arts. Alright. So far so good. I'm gonna go ahead and do arts with War God Finn. Gotta get that, you know, equip CT speed. Yeah. Alright. So he's almost there. He's almost pushed on that threshold right here. Almost. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and do true arts, right? Because I don't want to use too much archgen since, you know, War God Finn is the only one that's archgening for the team aside from, you know, the support equips. Alright, so that, let me go ahead and activate that. Bada boy, there we go. Woo! Okay, that was kind of a close one, not gonna lie. Alright, now with Stark, I'm gonna go ahead and do arts before I go ahead and do super arts actually. Right here, oh yeah. And also to provide, you know, a little bit of healing. Alright, there we go. Bada boy. And then you see right here, the break bar. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. More than half of it got eliminated right there. His break bar, which is pretty good. But now I'm gonna have to go ahead and, you know, build that back up again. Which, yeah, that's a little bit of a downfall with Stark. Because if you want to maximize that, yeah, you're gonna have to build it up. Alright, let's go ahead and activate this. Once again, I'm gonna go ahead and do super arts with Shiro right here. Oh yeah. Alright, Stark. So at any point, if you could go ahead and go into your true arts again, boom, there you go. Alright, pretty cool. Let's go ahead and activate arts. And yeah, this is basically kind of like how it goes. Okay, at this point, I'm gonna have to use his super arts, man. At this point. And I'm just gonna use super arts with Shiro right here. So he's gonna get broken. Bada boy, there we go. And then damn, look at that. Wow. Actually, I didn't even need to use super arts with Shiro right here. Damn. Yeah, I kind of actually didn't expect that for Stark to do just that much damage. But hey, you know what? Hey, yo, that is right. Let me go ahead and do arts. All right, bada boy. All right. Bada boy. Yeah, because, oof, that is some big damage right there. Yeah, that is some big damage. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and use super arts with Stark, actually, right here. And then maybe super arts with Shiro as well. All right, let's go ahead and do this. Yeah. All right, let's go. And then, yeah, that's actually, damn, look at that damage. Even with just one stack, Stark actually did some pretty good damage right there. And then, so you could use Stark on this. However, it is going to be a little bit of a struggle because you see the time right there, how long that took. Yeah, but now let's go look at the details. So right here, yeah, Stark did the majority of the damage, which, you know, makes sense factoring in all of that on his moveset, plus War God Finn giving crit rate to everybody, especially Stark. And then right here, damage taken, yeah, makes sense. Gamagori, he was the top tank. And then recovery, yeah, Shiro with his heal equip. And now if we look at break right here, that also makes sense because of Stark, you know, stacking that up right there on his true arts. This makes sense. So overall, I think Stark is pretty good as a damage dealer and as a breaker. It's just one flaw that he has is that in order for you to do like that big damage, you do have to take, you know, a little bit of time to be able to stack that up, use that 5 times. So if we go ahead and do the math, how much arts gauge that is about 1,000 arts gauge, which is kind of a lot, but I mean, it does, you know, work a little bit because he is self arts genning on true arts at the same time. So you'll be able to reach that relatively fast. Because with this team right here, it seems like, yeah, there's in a way, in a sense, 2 Archgen, at least for Stark. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be it. You're gonna see on the screen right now a video of Shiro of why he's so goated. One last thing, chimichangas are good.